Lieutenant Commander William Carter stared at the blinking light on his console. The U.S. Horizon had been on routine patrol near the edge of human space for 3 weeks, and this was the first unusual reading they had encountered. "Sir, I'm picking up a signal," Communications Officer Lisa Green said, her fingers moving quickly across her screen. "It's not matching any known Earth or colony frequencies." Carter moved to her station and looked over her shoulder. "Alien." "I think so, sir. The pattern suggests intelligence, not natural phenomena." Lisa adjusted some settings. "There's a message embedded in it. My translator is having trouble, but it seems to be a distress call." Carter rubbed his chin. Humanity had encountered only 3 alien species in the 50 years since achieving faster-than-light travel, and relations were still cautious at best. A distress call was unprecedented. "Can you clean it up?" he asked. Lisa worked for several minutes before nodding. "Got it, sir. Audio only." She pressed a button, and a high-pitched, chittering voice filled the bridge. The universal translator converted it to English with noticeable pauses. "Emergency alert to all spacefaring civilizations. The Deathworlder fleet has been detected moving through Sector 7. They have already consumed 2 worlds. We cannot stop them. Assistance required. Caution advised if you are not evolved for combat. I repeat." The message repeated twice more before ending. "Deathworlders." Carter frowned. "What does that mean?" "Unknown, sir," replied Navigation Officer Ben Hayes. "But there's something else. I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the Proxima system. It's uninhabited according to our charts, but those readings suggest artificial technology." Carter considered his options. Protocol required reporting first contact situations to Earth Command before taking action. But if this was truly a distress call, "Set course for Proxima," he ordered. "Yellow alert. And send a coded message to Command explaining our intentions." "Sir," Lisa said hesitantly, "should we really investigate without backup? If there's danger." "That's why we're going to yellow alert, Lieutenant," Carter replied. "But someone out there needs help. We can at least look." The Horizon reached the Proxima system 4 hours later. The energy signature led them to the system's 3rd planet, a small rocky world orbiting a red dwarf star. "Scanning the surface," reported Science Officer Alex Morgan. "There's debris in orbit. Looks like a ship was destroyed. Wait, I'm picking up a life sign on the surface, near what appears to be an escape pod." "Life support conditions?" Carter asked. "Breathable atmosphere, sir. Gravity at 0.8 Earth standard. Temperature is cool but manageable." Carter nodded. "Prepare a landing party. Me, Green, and Medical Officer Martinez. Full environmental suits as a precaution." The shuttle landed half a mile from the escape pod. As they approached on foot, they saw the crashed vessel. It was unlike any ship design humans had seen before, organic-looking, with smooth curves rather than angular human engineering. "Hello," Carter called out, his suit's external speakers translating into the 3 known alien languages. "We received your distress call. We're here to help." A thin, trembling limb emerged from the damaged pod. Then a creature pulled itself into view. It stood about 4 feet tall with 6 limbs, a segmented body covered in an iridescent exoskeleton, and large compound eyes. 2 of its upper limbs clutched what appeared to be a wound in its thorax. Lisa gasped. Martinez immediately moved forward with his medical scanner. The alien chittered, and their translators picked up its words after a moment of processing. You received our warning, but you came anyway. Are you? Military support." "We're from Earth," Carter explained, approaching slowly. "We're explorers, but we can offer assistance." The alien's eyes widened, its antennae vibrating rapidly. "Earth, the humans. You are Deathworlders." The creature backed away in obvious terror. "Please don't hurt me," it chittered. "Please don't eat me." Carter and his team exchanged confused looks. "We don't want to hurt you," Carter said gently, staying where he was. We want to help. What's happening? What does Deathworlder mean? The alien's trembling slowed as it assessed them, seemingly torn between fear and desperation. You truly don't know? It finally asked. You don't know what you are to the rest of us. Carter shook his head. My name is Zixtal, the alien said, and I need to tell you about the galaxy, about Earth's classification, and about the other Deathworlders who are coming. Carter helped Zixtal aboard the shuttle, while Martinez treated the alien's wounds. The insectoid being seemed calmer now, though its large compound eyes never stopped watching the human's movements. You don't seem like the others, Zixtal said as they flew back to the horizon. But your bodies, so much muscle, dense bones. You move so quickly. Others? Lisa asked. You mean other humans? No, the other Deathworlders. The Krozak. Zixtal's mandibles clicked with fear. They come from a world like yours. Once aboard the horizon, they'd brought Zixtal to the medical bay. The alien seemed amazed by the ship's gravity and atmosphere settings. You adjust your environment to simulate your own world, it asked. Most species adjust themselves to live in gentler conditions. Dr. Martinez finished scanning Zixtal's body. Your exoskeleton has a hairline fracture, but our bone knitting techniques should work on your physiology with some adjustments. You can heal me. Zixtal seemed surprised. Your medical science is this advanced. It's standard treatment, Martin said, preparing his equipment. Carter pulled up a chair next to the medical bed. You said we're Deathworlders. What does that mean? Zixtal's antennae twitched. The Galactic Council classifies all planets by their habitability. Most intelligent species evolve on garden worlds with mild conditions, few predators, and low gravity. The alien pointed a thin limb at Carter. Your world, Earth, it would be classified as a death world. High gravity, extreme temperature variations, dangerous radiation levels from your sun, countless predators, poisonous plants, natural disasters. By our standards, nothing intelligent should have evolved there. Lisa frowned. But we're just normal to us. Exactly, Zixtal said. To survive on Earth, you evolved traits that make you terrifying to most galactic species. Your strength, endurance, and resilience are unnatural to us. You can break bones just by gripping too hard. You can survive injuries that would kill most sentient beings. Carter leaned forward. And these Krozak? They come from a similar planet. Worse, Zixtal said. Their world has even higher gravity, more radiation, and more aggressive life forms than Earth. Where you evolved intelligence and cooperation to survive, they became perfect predators. They see other sentient species as prey. The alien brought out a small device that projected a hologram. A massive reptilian creature appeared, standing on two powerful legs with 4 arms ending in claws. Its scaled skin was a dark red, and its head featured multiple eyes and a jaw lined with razor-sharp teeth. The Krozak began space travel a century ago. At first, they stayed in their system, but resources on their homeworld are limited. They've started expanding, conquering nearby systems. A hologram changed to show destroyed cities and fleeing aliens. They don't just conquer, they hunt. They consume. Zixtal's voice trembled. The Galactic Council has tried to stop them, but our weapons are no match for their biology and technology. How many ships do they have? Carter asked. Nearly 100 warships in their main fleet. Thousands of smaller vessels. Zixtal looked at each human in turn. My ship was part of a diplomatic mission. We hoped to establish peaceful contact. They destroyed us without communication. Why come to us? Lisa asked. You seem afraid of humans too. The Council has been monitoring Earth's expansion with concern. We feared you might be like the Krozak. But you've shown restraint, built alliances with the few aliens you've met. Zixtal stood shakily. We need your help. Only Deathworlders can stop Deathworlders. The Krozak fleet is heading toward the Council's core systems. Billions will die if they aren't stopped. Carter's communicator beeped. Sir, came the voice of his first officer. Earth Command has responded to our report. They want us to return immediately with our guest. Carter looked at Zixtal. It seems you'll get to plead your case to our leaders directly. Will they help? The alien asked. I don't know, Carter answered honestly. But if what you're saying is true, this threat concerns everyone in the galaxy, including us. The massive meeting hall at Earth Defense Headquarters fell silent as Admiral Susan Rodriguez entered. Her uniform was crisp, her gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. She sat at the head of the table and studied the alien visitor with sharp eyes. Zixtal of the Galactic Council, she said. Lieutenant Commander Carter has shared your story. Now I want to hear it directly from you. Zixtal stood on shaky limbs. The gravity on Earth was stronger than the alien was used to, even in this specially adjusted room. Admiral, the Krozak fleet will reach Council space within 60 Earth days. They have already destroyed 2 populated systems. Billions are dead. Zixtal's voice translator conveyed the urgency. We need your help. Rodriguez looked around the table at the 20 human officers and officials. The Council has known about Earth for decades, yet made no contact. Now you want our military aid. The Council feared you, Zixtal admitted. Your biological capabilities, your rapid technological advancement. Some wanted to isolate Earth behind quarantine beacons. Murmurs spread through the room. But others argued for observation. Zixtal continued. We watched as you made peaceful contact with the 3 species you've met. You showed restraint where the Krozak show only hunger. Rodriguez tapped her fingers on the table. And now you want us to fight your war. To fight for survival, Zixtal corrected. The Krozak will eventually find Earth too. And they will not offer peace. After 3 days of debate, Earth's leadership made their decision. Captain Ethan Miller stood on the bridge of the U.S. Defender, the flagship of a small fleet of 5 warships. His mission, meet with Council representatives and evaluate the Krozak threat. Nervous, Captain? Asked Dr. Amber Collins, the xenobiologist assigned to the mission. Miller smiled slightly. First official contact with the Galactic Council. Facing potential war with space predators. Just another Tuesday. The diplomatic team is ready, reported John Ramirez, the mission's chief negotiator. Though I've never negotiated with quite so many species at once. Security teams are prepared, added Major Nicole Peterson. Though Zixtal's warnings about our terrifying nature have my people on edge. They're worried about scaring our new allies. Just move slowly and smile, Miller advised. We're here to help, not frighten them. The human fleet arrived at the coordinates Zixtal had provided, a massive space station orbiting a neutral star. The station's design was unlike anything humans had seen, with organic curves and crystalline structures. Beautiful, Collins whispered as they approached in a shuttle. Inside the docking bay, representatives from 12 alien species waited. None stood taller than 4 feet. Their bodies ranged from insectoid like Zixtal to gelatinous beings to feathered bipeds with delicate limbs. Miller led his team forward, moving deliberately slow. Greetings from Earth. We come in peace and friendship. A small blue alien with 4 arms stepped forward. I am High Counselor Vexna. We welcome our human allies, though your appearance is more imposing than we anticipated. Before Miller could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. A voice spoke in multiple languages. Alert. Unknown vessel approaching. Energy signatures match Krozak scout ship. The alien delegates panicked, moving in confusion. A massive view screen showed a predatory-looking ship approaching the station. They'd found us, Vexna cried. How did they know? The ship fired, and the station shuddered. Pieces of ceiling fell, heading straight for a group of small, fragile aliens. Without thinking, Peterson leaped forward, covering 3 aliens with her body as debris crashed down on her back. Ramirez and Collins pulled others to safety, their human reflexes faster than any of the Council species. Miller grabbed a communication device. Defender, this is Miller. We're under attack. Launch fighters, and target that ship. Defensive pattern only. The aliens watched in awe as the humans organized an evacuation, moving with speed and strength that seemed impossible. Peterson stood, debris sliding off her back, merely bruised where such impacts would have killed any Council species. Now you see, Zixtel said to Vexna as they watched Miller coordinate the defense. This is why we need them. This is what Deathworlders can do when they protect instead of hunt. The human fleet escorted the damaged Council station to a safer location. 1 week later, they established a joint command center on the human space station Artemis. The circular room buzzed with activity as aliens and humans worked side by side. Kevin Martinez, Earth's top intelligence officer, studied the holographic display showing Krazak movements. Beside him stood Telier, a slender avian alien with bright purple feathers who served as the Council's chief tactician. Their attack patterns seem random, Kevin said, pointing to several systems. They hit here, here, and here, but skipped these resource-rich planets in between. Telier tilted his head. Not random. They hunt. See how they attacked worlds with higher population centers first. They seek prey, not resources. Dr. Collins joined them, carrying data tablets. I've been studying the Krazak biology from the samples we recovered from the scout ship. Their genetic structure is fascinating. Fascinating isn't the word I'd use, Kevin muttered. Look at these readings, Collins continued. Their homeworld has 1.3 times Earth's gravity. Their muscles are denser than ours. Their reaction time is slightly faster, and they can survive in environments that would kill even humans. So they're better Deathworlders than us, Kevin said with a frown. That's not encouraging. Telier fluttered his wings nervously. This is why the Council feared contact with Earth. We worried you might be like them. Collins shook her head. But we're not. That's the key difference. She pulled up images of Earth. Humans evolved as prey first. We were hunted by larger predators for millions of years. We survived by working together, by using tools, by outthinking our enemies. She switched to images recovered from the Krazak ship. The Krazak evolved as apex predators from the start. They never needed to cooperate beyond hunting packs. Their society is built on dominance, not collaboration. Kevin studied the images more closely. Wait, look at their ship design. See how each vessel has unique markings, and the attack formations in the footage from the Council worlds. What do you see? Telier asked. They're operating like wolf packs, Kevin said excitedly. Each group has a leader, an alpha. They follow specific hunting patterns under that alpha's command. He pointed to larger ships at the center of each formation. These must be the command vessels. The alphas are there. Collins nodded enthusiastically. Their biology supports this. Their brains show enlarged areas for dominance behaviors. They literally cannot function without a hierarchy. Telier's eyes widened. So if we eliminate the alpha, the pack might scatter, Kevin finished, or at least become disorganized enough to defeat. They brought their theory to Captain Miller and the Council representatives. The meeting room was tense as they explained their findings. You suggest we target their leaders? High Counselor Vexna asked. Precisely, Kevin said. We don't need to defeat their entire fleet if we can remove their command structure. But we need more data, Collins added. Theory isn't enough. We need to test this in the field. Miller nodded. I'll send a small strike team to engage the nearest Krazak raiding party. If we can confirm this weakness, we'll have our strategy. I should go with them, Collins said. I need to observe their behavior firsthand. It's too dangerous, Miller argued. Collins stood her ground. I'm a scientist. I need to see the evidence myself. Telier watched this exchange with fascination. You argue with your superior? He asked Collins. Of course, she replied. That's how we find the best solution. Telier turned to Vexna. Perhaps this is why they evolved differently than the Krazak. They question. They debate. Even their hierarchies allow for challenge and growth. Vexana nodded slowly. Deathworlders with conscience. Perhaps we were wrong to fear all strong species. Miller finally nodded. Fine, Dr. Collins. You can join the strike team. Commander Sam Wilson will lead the mission aboard the U.S. Intrepid. We'll test your theory, and if you're right, we may have found the key to defeating the Krozak. Kevin pointed to the star map. The Intrepid will need to move fast. According to our latest intelligence, the main Krozak fleet is gathering. They're preparing for a major assault. The U.S. Intrepid moved silently through space, its engines running at minimal power. Commander Sam Wilson stood on the bridge, watching the main screen as a Krozak raiding party came into view. 3 predatory ships were attacking a small mining colony on an asteroid. Life signs on the colony? Wilson asked. 53, replied Tactical Officer Michelle Bennett. Mostly Valaxians, small silicon-based life forms. Perfect targets for the Krozak, Dr. Collins said grimly. Slow-moving and unable to fight back. Wilson turned to technical specialist Olivia Porter. Are the special armors ready? Porter nodded. Yes, sir. Enhanced strength servos, reinforced plating, and built-in medical systems. They should help level the playing field against Krozak biology. We go in fast, Wilson told his team. First, we save those colonists. Then we test our theory about the Alpha. The Intrepid suddenly accelerated, weapons charging. The Krozak ships, caught by surprise, turned to face the new threat. They're responding, Bennett reported. All 3 ships are changing course to attack us. They're ignoring the colony now. Predictable, Collins muttered. We're a more challenging prey, more interesting to hunt. Wilson smiled. Let's give them something to hunt, then. Fire warning shots across their bow. Get their attention. The Intrepid fired, deliberately missing the Lid Krozak ship. The response was immediate. The largest ship moved forward aggressively, while the 2 smaller vessels took flanking positions. Classic pack hunting formation, Collins said excitedly. Just like wolves. The Alpha leads the charge. Target the lead ship's engines, Wilson ordered. Disable, don't destroy. We need to board it. The battle was fierce. The Krozak ships were heavily armed and incredibly fast. But the Intrepid was more maneuverable, dancing around their attacks while landing precise hits on the Lid ship. Their engines are down, Bennett reported. The Alpha ship is disabled. The other ships are moving to protect it. Added combat engineer Ryan Cooper. They're shielding it with their own hulls. Wilson stood. Boarding team, suit up. We're going in. 7 humans in specialized battle armor launched from the Intrepid in a small shuttle. Dr. Collins, despite not being the soldier, joined them, her armor modified to carry extra sensors and recording equipment. They cut through the hull of the disabled Krozak ship. Inside, the air was hot and humid, the gravity slightly stronger than Earth standard. Stay alert, Wilson warned as they moved through the alien corridors. Remember, they're stronger than us, even with the armor. They encountered the first Krozak soon after. The alien was massive, nearly 8 feet tall, with red scales and multiple limbs ending in deadly claws. It charged without hesitation. The battle was brutal. 2 humans were injured before they managed to subdue the creature. As they moved deeper into the ship, they faced more resistance. The crew is fighting harder the closer we get to the bridge, Porter observed. We must be nearing the Alpha. Finally, they'd reached the command center. The door was sealed, but Cooper quickly bypassed it. Inside stood a Krozak larger than the others. Its scales were darker, almost black, and it wore ornate armor decorated with trophies, bones and fragments from previous victims. That's the Alpha, Collins whispered, her sensors recording everything. Look at the size difference. The Alpha roared and charged. Wilson met it head-on. The fight was chaotic, with the Alpha demonstrating strength that even the specialized armor could barely withstand. Wilson was thrown across the room, his armor cracking. Bennett saw an opening and fired precisely at the Alpha's leg joint. It stumbled. Cooper and Porter attacked from different angles. Working together, the humans drove the Alpha back. When Wilson finally pinned the creature down, something unexpected happened. The other Krozak in the room backed away. Some even fled. "It's working," Collins said. "With the Alpha defeated, the others lose their will to fight." They secured the bridge and the rest of the ship with surprising ease. Outside, the remaining Krozak vessels began to retreat once their comms to the Alpha ship went silent. Wilson looked at Collins. "I think we just confirmed your theory, Doctor." Collins nodded, studying her readings. "The Krozak are physically superior, but their rigid hierarchy is their weakness. Without direct leadership, they fall apart." Wilson activated his comm. "Intrepid, this is Wilson. Mission accomplished. We found the Krozak's weakness. Tell Captain Miller our strategy worked." Admiral Rodriguez stood before the massive holographic display, showing the positions of both Allied forces and the approaching Krozak fleet. Representatives from 17 Council species watched anxiously as she outlined the situation. "The main Krozak fleet has gathered here," Rodriguez said, pointing to a cluster of red dots near the edge of Council space. "Almost 100 warships, plus support vessels. They will reach the first heavily populated Council world in 14 days. High Counselor Vexna stepped forward, her small blue form barely reaching Rodriguez's waist. "Our defensive fleets are gathered at these positions," she said, indicating several green clusters. "But as you've seen, our weapons are ineffective against their shields. And a direct confrontation would result in massive casualties on both sides," added Council Supreme Commander Vixnera, a tall insectoid similar to Zixtal. Rodriguez nodded. "Which is why we need a different approach." She turned to Paul Wright, a brilliant engineer who had been working with Council scientists for weeks. "Show them what you've developed." Wright activated a separate display showing modified human ships. "By combining human ship design with Council energy technology, we've created vessels that can match Krozak speed and firepower, but we've only been able to upgrade 20 ships so far." "Not enough for a direct confrontation," Rodriguez agreed, "but perhaps enough for a special operation." The room fell silent as Rodriguez outlined her plan. Commander Wilson's mission proved that targeting the Alphas disrupts Krozak operations. Intelligence suggests their entire species functions this way. At the top of their hierarchy is what we're calling the Supreme Alpha. She zoomed in on one massive ship at the center of the Krozak fleet. "We believe this vessel houses their overall leader. If we can eliminate the Supreme Alpha, the entire fleet might lose cohesion." Vixnera clicked his mandibles skeptically. "You propose attacking the center of their fleet. The losses would be catastrophic." "Not an all-out attack," Rodriguez clarified. "A small strike force. Fast ships, elite crews. Get in, target the Supreme Alpha, get out." "A suicide mission," Vexna said quietly. Rodriguez's face remained calm. "A calculated risk. Meanwhile, the main human Council fleet will defend the border worlds, keeping the Krozak occupied." As the meeting concluded, Intelligence Officer Kevin Martinez approached Rodriguez with a datapad. "Admiral, we've received new information from our deep space probes." Rodriguez examined the data. "Their homeworld." "Yes," Martinez nodded. "It's dying. Extreme resource depletion, atmospheric degradation. That's why they've become so aggressive. They're not just hunting for sport, they're desperate for new worlds to colonize." "Does this change our strategy?" Rodriguez asked. "It might give us an alternative," Martinez suggested. "If we could offer them uninhabited worlds suitable for their biology, perhaps negotiation is possible." Rodriguez considered this. "The Council won't agree to that. Not after the Krozak have already consumed 2 populated worlds." "Then we stick to the plan," Martinez said. "But this information might be useful if we succeed in removing their leadership." Later that day, Rodriguez met with the human captains who would lead the strike mission. "I won't order anyone to take this assignment," she told them. "The risks are extreme." Captain Laura Garcia of the U.S. Defiant stood immediately. "My crew will go, Admiral. We've studied the Krozak more than anyone. We know their weaknesses." One by one, the other captains volunteered. Last to speak was Lieutenant Commander Carter, recently promoted to captain of the U.S. Horizon. The Horizon was first to receive the distress call. Carter said, "It seems fitting we help finish this." Rodriguez looked at each volunteer with pride. "Your mission is to penetrate Krozak territory and challenge their supreme alpha. Our best scientists are developing specialized weapons and armor for your boarding teams." "And the main fleet?" Garcia asked. "Will be under my direct command, defending Council worlds." Rodriguez answered, "If your mission fails, we'll be the last line of defense." As the captains left to prepare their crews, Rodriguez stood alone, studying the star map. The red dots of the Krozak fleet seemed to pulse with menace. "This is the moment that defines us," she whispered to herself, "not just as humans, but as protectors." The U.S. Defiant moved silently through space, its new stealth systems masking it from Krozak sensors. Behind it, 4 other ships followed in tight formation. They had entered Krozak territory 3 days ago, slipping past patrol ships using technology developed by Paul Wright's team. On the bridge of the Defiant, Special Operations Commander Laura Garcia studied the tactical display. Her team included communications expert Daniel Johnson, weapons specialist Eric Taylor, and medic Stephanie King, all chosen for their exceptional skills and psychological resilience. "Status report," Garcia ordered quietly, though there was no chance of the Krozak hearing them through the vacuum of space. "We're approaching the 4th planet in the system," Johnson replied. "Long-range scans show heavy Krozak activity on the surface." "What kind of activity?" Garcia asked. Johnson's face paled as he studied the readings. "Processing facilities. They're processing the native population." Garcia moved to his station and looked at the data herself. The scans showed massive facilities where captured aliens from conquered worlds were being systematically sorted. Some were directed to labor camps. Others were sent to what could only be described as feeding centers. "They're treating sentient beings like cattle," King whispered in horror. "This confirms our worst fears," Garcia said grimly. "The Krozak don't just conquer, they consume." Taylor pointed to another reading. "Commander, I'm detecting unusual communication patterns. Not standard transmissions, but something else." Dr. Collins, who had joined the mission as their Krozak expert, looked up from her science station. "Pheromones. They're using artificial pheromone dispersal to communicate across their territory. It's similar to how insect colonies coordinate." "Can we track it?" Garcia asked. Collins nodded. "The concentrations get stronger closer to command centers. If we follow the densest pheromone trails, they should lead us to the Supreme Alpha." Garcia finished. "Johnson, realign our sensors to track these pheromone patterns." The small fleet adjusted course, following the invisible chemical trails through Krozak space. They passed more conquered worlds, each showing signs of the same horrific processing. After 2 more days, they found it. A massive space station orbiting a red giant star. Unlike the predatory designs of Krozak ships, this structure was ornate, decorated with what appeared to be trophies from conquered species. "That's it," Collins breathed. "The Supreme Alpha's command center." Garcia opened a channel to the other ships. "This is it. Remember the plan. The Horizon and Intrepid will create a diversion. The Defiant, Valiant, and Dauntless will approach from the far side and deploy boarding teams." Captain Carter's voice came through the comm. "The Horizon is ready, Commander. We'll give you the window you need." The battle began suddenly and violently. The Horizon and Intrepid dropped their stealth and fired on the station's outer defenses. Krozak ships rushed to intercept them, just as planned. Meanwhile, the Defiant and its 2 companions maintained stealth, approaching from the opposite side. They docked with the station using specialized cutting tools to create their own entrances. Garcia led the boarding team, 20 humans in advanced battle armor. They moved through the station, encountering increasing resistance. The pheromone concentration is strongest this way. Collins directed them through a massive doorway. They entered what could only be described as a throne room. Decorating the walls were the remains of hundreds of alien species, a macabre museum of extinction. And there, on a raised platform, sat the Supreme Alpha, twice the size of regular Krozak, its scales a deep black with red patterns, wearing armor made from the bones of its victims. 4 massive arms ended in claws that could tear through steel. It rose as the humans entered, showing no fear, only hunger. "You dare enter my domain," it spoke in a deep, rumbling voice. The humans were shocked to hear it speak their language. "Your species is unknown to me. New prey for the collection." Garcia stepped forward, removing her helmet to show her face. "We are humans. We come from Earth, and we are not prey." The Supreme Alpha laughed, a chilling sound. "All are prey to the Krozak. I will taste your flesh myself." Garcia raised her weapon. "You can try." The creature moved with shocking speed for its size, leaping directly at Garcia. The battle for the fate of the galaxy had begun. The battle between Garcia and the Supreme Alpha was unlike anything the other humans had ever seen. The massive Krozak moved with terrifying speed, its claws leaving deep gouges in the metal floor where Garcia had stood moments before. Garcia relied on her training and the enhanced mobility of her armor. She was faster, more agile, and far more creative than the Alpha expected. Where it used raw power, she used strategy. Flank positions. She ordered her team as she rolled away from another attack. Taylor and Johnson moved to opposite sides of the room, forcing the Alpha to divide its attention. But the Supreme Alpha was not alone. Lesser Krozak poured into the throne room, engaging the rest of the human team. The space filled with the sounds of combat. "We need to end this quickly," Collins shouted over the comm. "The station is calling for reinforcements." Garcia understood what needed to be done. The same strategy that had worked on smaller Krozak ships challenged the Alpha directly. "You call yourself Supreme?" Garcia taunted the massive creature. "On Earth, you would be just another predator. We've hunted things like you to extinction." The Supreme Alpha roared in fury, focusing entirely on Garcia. It charged, abandoning caution for rage. Garcia waited until the last possible moment, then dropped to the floor. As the Alpha passed over her, she fired her weapon directly up into a gap in its armor. The specialized ammunition, designed by Wright's team, buried itself deep in the creature's flesh and released a powerful nerve agent. The Supreme Alpha stumbled, then crashed to the floor. It tried to rise, but its limbs twitched uncontrollably. Garcia stood and approached the fallen leader. The other Krozak in the room froze, watching. "Surrender," Garcia demanded. "Order your fleet to stand down." The Supreme Alpha hissed, venom dripping from its fangs. "The Krozak do not surrender. We conquer or die." "Then you choose death," Garcia said. She raised her weapon for the final shot. "Wait," the Alpha growled. "What is your offer?" Garcia lowered her weapon slightly. "We know your homeworld is dying. Withdraw your forces from all conquered territories. In exchange, the Council will provide uninhabited worlds suitable for your species." The Alpha's eyes narrowed. "Why would you offer this?" "Because unlike you," Garcia replied, "we prefer cooperation over destruction." After a tense standoff, the Supreme Alpha issued a command to its fleet. Across Council space, Krozak ships suddenly began to withdraw from battle. Some obeyed immediately. Others, led by lesser Alphas who sensed weakness in their supreme leader, broke formation and attacked with renewed fury. Admiral Rodriguez, commanding the defense of the Council worlds, saw the Krozak fleet fragment into competing factions. Some retreated, while others fought with desperate abandon. "Target the ships that continue to attack," she ordered. "Let the ones withdrawing go." The combined human Council fleet concentrated their fire on the rebellious Krozak ships. Without unified leadership, these fragments were quickly overwhelmed. 3 weeks later, a historic ceremony took place on Earth. Representatives from all council species gathered in the same meeting hall where Zixtal had first pleaded for help. Admiral Rodriguez and High Counselor Vexna signed a formal agreement. Earth would join the Galactic Council as a full member. In return, humans would help establish a defense force to protect all member worlds. Today marks a new understanding, Vexna announced. We once feared the term Deathworlder as a mark of danger. Now we recognize it can also indicate strength, resilience, and protection. In a distant part of the galaxy, the Krodzak began settling on the uninhabited worlds provided by the Council. Under the terms of surrender, they were confined to these systems and forbidden from building warships. Council human patrols monitored their borders constantly. Captain William Carter stood on the bridge of the U.S. Horizon, now refitted with the latest human council technology. His ship had been assigned to lead the first joint exploration mission, seeking new species and new worlds. Course laid in, Captain Lisa Green, now his first officer, reported. Carter looked at his crew, a mix of humans and council species working side by side. You know, he said with a smile, when I first heard that distress call about Deathworlders on the move, I never imagined it would lead to this. Zixtal, who had requested to join the Horizon's crew as a science officer, chittered happily. Sometimes, Captain, the most dangerous things in the universe are also the best protectors. Carter nodded and gave the command. Engage. The Horizon streaked into the unknown, carrying the legacy of Earth's first galactic war and the promise of a safer future for all species.